Pod Wars, we hope you enjoy Pod Wars by Rachel Lawson. "Sandman, my office now," shouted Sandy's boss from his office. Sandy walked to his boss's office. Walking in, he saw a friend. "Hi, Blake," said Sandy. "Hello, Daniel," said Blake Alexander, the host of the TV news show The Blake Report. "Hi, Mr. King," said Sandy. "Hello, Sandman. Blake had an idea," said Orlando King, their boss. "He did. What is it?" asked Sandy. "A podcast," said Blake. "A what?" asked Sandy. "A podcast, an audio blog," said Lando. "Oh," said Sandy. "Blake thinks you two should do one," said Lando. "Oh, okay, sir," said Sandy. "I'll explain it," said Blake. "Thanks," said Sandy. "Welcome to the Blake and the Sandman podcast. I am Dr. Blake Alexander," said Blake, talking to a podcasting microphone in his kitchen. "And I am the Sandman," said Sandy, talking to another microphone. "Ken, have you heard of the Blake and the Sandman podcast?" asked the boss of Ken Darby, a reporter at a rival newspaper. "Yeah, it's really good. I'm addicted to it," said Ken. "I want you to do a podcast to rival it," said the boss. "I won't be as good as them," said Ken. "I want you to be better," said the boss. "Hello, welcome to the Daily Times podcast," said Ken in his office at home. "Your podcast was garbage," said Ken's boss the next day. "I told you I wouldn't be good," said Ken. "How many views did you get?" asked the boss. "2 so far," said Ken. "That's atrocious," said the boss. "I didn't expect more," said Ken. "My podcast is live at the same time as the other podcast." "Don't you have your podcast saved on the site?" asked the boss. "Yes," said Ken. "Do better, or look for another job," said the boss. A week later, in Blake's kitchen, "Sandy," Blake said mid-podcast, and a Grim Reaper walked into the room. "Down, everyone," shouted the Reaper. Blake and Sandy did as they were told. Bullets peppered the house from the street. "What is going on, boy?" Blake said to Lance the Reaper, his son. "Someone shot up your house," said Lance, who was also Sandy's best friend. "Tempest told me to come." Tempest was Lance's brother, who saw all of time. "Blake, call the police," cried Sandy, running over to Blake's wife, who had been shot. "Angela," cried Blake, seeing his wife throwing his phone at his son. "What's that for?" asked Lance. "Call the police," said Blake. "Okay," laughed Lance. He rang the police. "Hello, who am I? The necromancer." "Yes, that one. I'm calling to report an assassination attempt. Not by me. Someone was shot. Who? My stepmom. Is she dead? Now my dad's looking after her. Is she dead? No. We need the police, not a chat. Tell them I'm taking my angel into the hospital," said Blake. "Dad's taking Mum to the hospital," said Lance. Blake teleported with his wife and Sandy to the emergency room at the hospital. Blake also worked as a coroner. "Dr. Death, are you bringing your own patients now?" asked an orderly, seeing Blake and his wife. "I need help. Not you. She's my wife." "She was shot in a drive-by shooting at my house," said Blake. "Who is your friend?" asked the orderly. "Daniel, my colleague," said Blake. "Is he a magician too?" asked the orderly. "Yes," said Sandy and Blake. Blake took his wife to the reception desk, and they told him to fill out some forms as they got a doctor to help. The next day, Blake sat on the set of the TV show he hosted. "You may have heard that last night while doing my Blake and the Sandman podcast with my friend Daniel Sandman. Someone did a drive-by shooting of my house and my wife was shot. She's stable, I must say." Blake said, "The police are now looking for the shooter." The next day, the podcast of Blake and Sandy was a smash hit. By the next week, it was very popular, but it was at the dawn of the last episode of the podcast. During the podcast, Sandy said, "Can you smell smoke?" Not long later, the house was up in flames, and the house was swarming with concerned locals trying to put it out. Most were Grim Reapers, as it was the home of Blake, the King of Death, and them, which was in the front yard of the afterlife. Blake sent his army of Reapers, and Sandy sent his army of Dreams to find the firebug, whom they and the police thought was the drive-by shooter. The Dreams caught the shooter dreaming of the shooting and told their master, Sandy, who told Blake, who invisibly tracked the assassin with the invisible Sandman. They saw Ken telling his boss their podcast should be over now. Blake and Sandy told the police to listen to their last podcast, which they did on stage on the Blake Report. In it, they did an expose of Ken Darby, the man who was trying to kill them, and their podcast. He was arrested for attempted murder. Blake's wife got better. The podcast Blake and the Sandman never started up again.
Welcome to the Blake and the Sandman podcast. Have you heard of the Blake and the Sandman podcast? I want you to do a podcast to rival it. Welcome to the Daily Times podcast. Your podcast was garbage. I told you I wouldn't be good. Do better. Go look for another job. Welcome to the war. The war is now live. It is the Pod Wars. The war is on the air. We'll do anything to win the war. This Pod War, we will not stop fighting until this war is done. Welcome to the war. The war is now live. It is the Pod War. The war is on the air. The war has only started. This is only the beginning of the war. You cannot win this war. Ratings are everything we care for. Welcome to the war. The war is now live. It is the Pod War. The war is on the air. You cannot win this war. No matter who or what you are, we will be the victor in this ratings war. This war on the air. You have no chance to win our war. The war is now live. It is the Pod War. The war is on the air. The war is on the air.